Good afternoon, everybody. Hello. It is Wednesday night. It is 8 o'clock p.m., and I'm back with my fellow companion here, my co-host, Bill Furman. How are you doing after that long, deserved vacation?
I am doing fantastic. I'm a little tired, I got to tell you. Didn't get back to bed till almost midnight last night after flying for felt like a day and a half
Oh,
from Venice to Philly to Tampa, then drive home. So it was a little rough around the edges. But I'll tell you one thing about it: when you're over in a foreign country like that, in a different time zone and just a whole different culture. They're not watching football in every bar on the corner. It just doesn't happen. They don't. I didn't see a TV outside of our little place in 2 weeks.
wow. I mean, it's a beautiful atmosphere. Of course, that's, for our number one over there. But, Bill, how did you do that with no sports on the TV? I know we're sports addicts here, and you have to check a TV at a glance no matter where you're at. How did you do that, Bill?
There were no TVs on.
Oh,
There was nothing to check. I kept checking my phone, trying to follow games, and
mhm.
it's the craziest thing when you start a West Coast game at 10 o'clock Eastern time or whatever it is, which is actually 4 o'clock in the morning over there. So you wake up 6:30, 7 o'clock. You look at your phone. They're in the third quarter. From
Boy.
what we would call the night before, they're still playing, and just crazy. And there it wasn't football season over there, so they
Right,
weren't
right.
playing soccer, and they do have a little bit of a pro basketball league,
Mhm.
but it's not in season, and there's very little discussion about any of that. It's just people doing other things, just a whole different
Wow.
culture than what we're used to here,
Mhm.
for sure.
Now, Bill, I do have a question for you. It was a beautiful trip. I enjoyed all your pictures. It was so beautiful just looking at them. I mean, it's somewhere that I want to go. I went there a long time ago. I haven't been there in almost 20 years. But, Bill, I mean, did you hear anybody talking about college football or pro? Because I've always wondered, like, what team do they follow? Being, in an outside atmosphere of sports in general.
The only thing I would tell you is I had one Eagle shirt with me,
Hmm.
and because we traveled light, we did laundry,
Right.
so
You
I
took,
wore it several times, throughout. But while we were in Venice, I got like four different Go Birds where people saw the
wow.
shirt, and they were local, had to be somewhat local to the
Mhm.
Philadelphia area to give you the Go Birds.
Wow.
But
Okay.
otherwise, there's just no talk of it. It's there's tourists,
Hmm.
but even that, not a lot of tourists wearing team colors or even college team colors. Very, very few. I would say 1 in 100, maybe. I mean,
Wow.
very few.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
I was wondered that.
different.
I've always wondered that. I mean, I would be the guy wearing, of course, how about them Cowboys or something like that. Of course, your Go Birds. But I remember I went to Ireland the year Notre Dame played Navy, the first selection over there the first time. And I tell you what, that's why I asked you that. Going over there. Of course, it was a game Notre Dame Navy before about 5 years ago.
Hmm.
That's when actually Father Judge High School was to go there and play before the game. There's two high schools in the Dublin Classic as well. But I always wondered that, outside atmosphere, who do they root for? What do they see? But man, I don't know how you did it, Bill, with no TVs on over there.
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
Well, the thing about it is we were always busy and we were always doing something. It was like being in a whole different world. I mean,
hmm.
it really was. Now,
Gotcha.
I will tell you this: we took a tour to the wineries.
Hmm.
We had a guy that came and picked us up and took us to the wineries and all that. And the guy was very informative, very very good guy, and talked all about Kobe,
Wow.
um,
Okay.
because we drove right by the area where Kobe as a kid grew
Hmm.
up and where Joe had played in the Italian professional basketball league. So he knew all about Kobe and
Wow.
Jelly Bean and that whole deal. And it was very interesting to see. They claim him. They claimed Kobe as part of theirs. He spent 6 years
Sure. Yeah. A lot of people
of
don't
his
know.
of his time there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of neat.
Oh, wow. Did you stomp on the grapes, Bill?
I didn't. They crushed them with their hands, but
Okay.
we were actually in the winery. It was production season,
Hmm.
so while we were doing our tour and doing a little tasting and all that, they were making wine. So that was
Okay.
really neat to see as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I was looking at, like I said, I was looking at the pictures, and it's insane. How beautiful it is over there. And if anybody's out there, get out there. It's a once in a lifetime trip. Live your life every day to the fullest, no matter what you can do. It's a one in a lifetime experience. But we'll get into this here. Joe says, huge week for coming up. I think Colorado thinks it's L for this week. I mean, they do have a huge matchup against Oregon. But Bill, let's recap some of the games here last week. I know, you had to watch it a day and after, basically. You watched it, but let's go down the roster here. Georgia, what do you think about that? 24-14 against South Carolina. I mean, Bill, they were down 14-3 at halftime. They looked like a JV team.
Well, I think it's early. It's early in the season. South Carolina, I thought would play better against North Carolina when they got beat in that game.
True.
I thought with Spencer Rattler they'd be a little bit better, but they played much better against Georgia. Gave them a pretty decent game, but Georgia just too much. And like I say, it's way too early for to say that Georgia really has any warts on them yet.
I agree. I mean, it's early in the season. The AP comes out. The BCS rankings aren't really legit yet until I believe it's week 7, Bill, 6 or 7,
yep. Mm-hmm.
when they come out with their really rankings that we count on. But yeah, I believe it's South Carolina. I thought they kind of didn't show up against North Carolina here. We talked about that, but Georgia, it's goes back to the Ohio State Notre Dame game with me last year, Bill. You can ride with them the first 3 quarters, but then the horses come out. Yeah. The 5-star athletes, and it's just. We are Georgia. And
we're the king of the mountain until somebody knocks us off of it.
Exactly. I mean, Carson Beck looked good. He was 37 for 25, had a great game as well. But Rattler played a good game, Bill. But when you don't have the horses and the athletes to compete against Georgia, it's really hard to climb that mountain as well.
That's right. You could throw for 500 yards, and if you just don't have enough players, you're not going to win.
Exactly. I agree. I mean, I think it could have been worse than it was. I mean, the way Georgia played in the first half, coming back from 14-3 and, scoring 21 points unanswered in the third quarter and fourth quarter. But it could have been a lot. It could have got out of hand quickly in the first half if they would have played ball.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. What about Florida State, Bill? Did you see any of that game? That game had me on the edge of my seat, Bill.
No, I didn't see any of that. I followed the score on it, and I got some thoughts for when they play Clemson here in Death Valley.
We'll definitely talk about that one.
We'll talk about that. So
yeah,
no, I didn't get to see that one at all.
I mean, it was a good game overall. Florida State being ranked number 3 in the nation, Bill. I think they're a little bit too high for this. We'll talk about that a little bit, the rankings coming up. But BCS, I tell you what, Bill, BCS stayed in this game through the first 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, I'm like, okay, Florida State's running away with this. But, Bill, 14 points in the last 6.5 minutes from BC. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened with Florida State. Did they take the foot off the pedal here? I don't know. Is BCS that good, or is is Florida State overhyped, Bill? What's your takeaway?
I'm thinking they're pretty good, but I'm thinking they're a little overhyped. I think they're a little higher, and like I say, I think we're gonna see a real tussle at noon in Death Valley. On the road is going to be a big challenge for Florida.
Yeah,
State.
What a way to open up Saturday morning at 12 noon with that game.
You
right
bet.
There. Oh,
you
Bill.
Bet.
But Bill, I was watching the game. Now we talked about Johnny Wilson, 6'5", hybrid wide receiver. I mean, just something we haven't seen at that size. Mike Evans in the NFL, 6'5". We know he can do high point of ball. But Bill, 3 drop balls, 1 for a touchdown. Again, I mean, what is it with this guy? Is that going to be his take away from going next year to the pros? I mean, a lot of people are going to look at this.
Yeah, they're absolutely going to look at it. I mean, if you're going to be elite, you got to be able to hold on to the football. And athletically, talent-wise, he is elite.
Yes.
But, that's the whole – you put him against Marvin Harrison, say, one-on-one, and I'm taking the guy that catches the football.
Exactly. I think Harrison had 2 drop balls last year, the entire season, that were legitimate catch balls, and Johnny's missing open touchdowns. And this isn't the first time, Bill. Last week on 3 catches, 2 drop balls, 2 for first downs, 1 for a to the house. Yeah. And it could have been an easier game for him, but we'll talk about them being a little bit overrated. But I don't know. I mean, I think they are a little bit, which we'll get into, Bill. But let's go to Texas, 31-10 over Wyoming. This game here, Bill, I tell you, Ewers didn't have to do much. 11 for 21, 131, 2 TDs. He didn't have to do much. But the one thing I do want to say, Bill, last year they lost Robinson, and they lost running back a chain also to the Dolphins, and Robinson to the Falcons. But, Bill, this kid, Jonathan Brooks, 21 carries, 164. They did not miss a beat, Bill, losing 2 running backs that we thought were elite
Yeah,
products.
yeah, absolutely. And they've got elite recruiting classes year after
Oh,
year,
mm,
and Steve Sarkisian's got it going. And I think Wyoming just wasn't good enough,
right.
but that could have been a trap week for them coming off of that big Alabama win.
Yes.
And to get out of there, Ewers, as you said, didn't really need to do much. Run the
Hmm.
football, get out of there healthy, and get on to the next one, and not get caught in a trap game. Big win for Texas. Good win for Texas.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have to do much. We didn't see a lot of Ewers, of course. He didn't play that. He didn't have to play that well. 131 yards, 2 TDs, did his job, managed the game. But Bill, that All American Xavier Worthy at wide receiver,
Yeah.
Bill, he's nasty.
Yep.
He's one. He had I wrote down here, Bill. He had one catch for 48 yards, and that was pretty much it. I mean, that's all they needed him to do, and it was just a go ball, Bill. And I watched that play over where you were just looking at him. It was like Peyton Manning looking at Marvin Harrison is what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
He just looked at him and did just one of these, just like that, and he dropped back 5 steps, just laid the ball out, and Worthy was about 10 yards downfield from the defender. Bill, it's oh goodness.
Yeah, I think the whole wide receiver position, and you see it in the NFL every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
These wide receivers are such freaks.
Yes.
There used to be, there were a couple, maybe 5
Mm-hmm.
that were in the league, the Jerry Rice years, and
Right.
those guys. Now everybody's got them,
Yeah.
and they're freaks of nature. They're athletes, and they're huge.
Mm-hmm.
They can run like deer. They got great hands. That's like you talk about Wilson. If you're going to be elite, you got to be elite because everybody is good.
Exactly.
And I think you watch these college kids and they keep getting better and better. And that catch by Odell Beckham years ago, the one that's been on a picture.
No, can we? I don't remember who that was against, Bill. We don't have to go into that either.
Well, I really wasn't going there with that, but that one, since then, kids actually
Right.
practice that. They practice one-hand catches, and you'll see
Yes.
these kids pull rabbits out of hats that
Mhm.
seemed impossible 5 or 8 years ago, whatever that was. And now, it's almost like a common thing. Justin
Mhm.
Jefferson, you watch Justin Jefferson on
Oh,
Sundays,
goodness.
like Jamar Chase, those guys are freaks. And that's, there's 10 of them.
Exactly. Yeah, they were a dime a dozen before. Now every team has one. Sometimes people have 2. Look at Ohio State this year; they're loaded every year. Alabama used to be loaded every year, pretty much too.
Yep.
I mean, but go with what you said, Bill. All the kids are practicing. I coach up here, and my quarterback and myself, we stand in the back, at the red zone, and we throw fade balls to the corner of the end zone, just get the timing down with the wide receivers. Bill, I had to yell at a kid this week. He goes up to catch the ball. It's a beautiful, over the shoulder catch. He puts one hand out, Bill, and tries catching with his fingers. I scream. I'm like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's like, "It's a Beckham moment." I was
There
like,
you go.
I was like, "What?" He's like, "I caught the ball." I was like, "Well, you did catch the ball, but are you serious? Like, bring the ball, bring the ball in the basket, 2 hands, bring it down." But it's
He's going to get a Sports Center highlight out of it.
That's what he said. He's like, "Coach, next if I do that in the game, how about you send it to ESPN for the top 10 moments?" I'm like, "Yeah, we'll see. Catch a couple of them
if you
first,
drop it, it'll be one of your worst 10 moments.
Yeah, it's one of those. Not top 10. I'll definitely send that one for you. But Bill, did you catch any of the Penn State game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. I'm trying to think of. I got to watch half of one of the games.
Okay.
Yes, I did watch it. Again, a little bit flat, but it's the first real competition they got to play.
Sure.
They showed a couple warts.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive line struggled a little bit more, running back struggled a little more, but they were never really challenged in that game,
Right.
though.
Right.
So
Right.
they'll be fine.
I'd say that running back game is you got some running backs, Bill. You got a stable of backs, I tell you that. And they didn't have to do much this game. I mean, it was just a manage the game, take what they give you. But Bill, Allen, Prabula, and Singleton, over almost 150 yards total between all 3 of them. And even Aller gets in the game. And the one thing I can say about Aller, looking, going back to a Clifford day, Clifford really wanted to run the ball up. He didn't look upfield. He didn't climb the pocket. If he climbed the pocket, it was not even wait for your wide receivers to make a move. It was always run, run, run. The thing I see with Aller, he does look downfield first and then pulls it down, which is really good.
Well, and I think Allard probably has a better offensive line maybe than Clifford maybe ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Clifford ran for his life a lot
He
of
did,
times,
he did.
whether he wanted to or not.
6 years of that, Bill, was kind of Serious.
Right. But no, I think Penn State's going to be just fine.
I think they will too. I mean, this week, of course, we'll get into the game. It's a whiteout game in Penn State this week versus Iowa. But Bill, there's a quarterback that I want to talk about with Washington and Michigan State. Huskies 41, Michigan State 7. Bill, can we talk about Michael Penix?
Yeah. Now, Washington plays who this week? I was looking at that and it slipped my mind.
I didn't even look, but I can check for you really quick. Let's see. Who do we have this week?
I was thinking they were playing somebody good. No?
I don't think they are playing anybody.
Or is it Washington State playing somebody good?
Washington plays Cal, the Bears.
Cal, okay. Mm-hmm. So that's not who I was thinking, but it should be another big game for Penix. He's going to, he keeps racking up the numbers. His name's going to start popping up in that Heisman talk and All-American talk and all that stuff. It's just, for him, unfortunately, he's playing way out there, and they just don't quite get the ink as a lot of other guys. But he's a solid player.
I mean, last week, Bill, 27 for 35, 473 yards, 4 TDs, Bill, and they do have an All-American wide receiver in Oduze. Of course, he had 8 catches for 180. But, Bill, I tell you, I'm going to move forward here a little bit regarding something. But if they beat USC in a primetime game, Penix continues to play his way in, I think he could be a legitimate Heisman Trophy winner, Bill. I really do.
Oh, I think he can, too. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he needs to have one of them signature games on TV where, where everybody can see him play great, and certainly against the team like USC, that would be it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping when they play Utah as well, I hope Cam Rising's back, full strength too, because that could be, you look at those games and you want to see the marquee matchup, team versus team, but a lot of these voters, Bill, I think they look at, Caleb Williams versus Michael Penix, who has the better game. That's what I look at, too. I hope, he has the better schedule with Cam Rising playing. Of course, Caleb Williams playing as well. And they have Oregon on a schedule, too. They have 3 tough teams coming up, regarding the rest of the season, too.
Yeah. And they got to win those games.
Exactly.
You got to win 2 to 3 of them anyway. You can't go 0-3 and think you got a guy that's going to win the Heisman. That's not going to happen.
Sure, being 8th, exactly. Especially being, ranked 8th in the nation, being the Washington Huskies. You're high ranked. You got to win these games, too. I know you don't care about the Heisman, but the national championship's more important, but it's a pretty damn good feeling to beat these, high-ranking QBs out there, on their schedule.
But, absolutely.
Now, Bill, there was one game. I know you probably didn't see this one, but it's not. They're not ranked, of course. But K-State versus Missouri, 30-27. Bill, final seconds of the game, 61-yard field goal by Missouri. I'm talking play calling, management, Bill, to get them downfield. I wish Mike McCarthy, as my Cowboys coach, would watch this game on time management because this was down to the T, Bill. I mean, perfection. Right timeouts, right clocking the ball, getting out of bounds, and everything, the passes, Bill, were right downfield on the edges to get out of bounds. Perfect play calling to set up the field goal.
And they executed it.
They executed
it. As a coach, you practice it every day or every other day.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes into real life and it happens like you want it to, like you practice it, maybe better than you practiced it.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. That's when you can kind of even put a little smile on your face as a coach.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, you can practice it on the practice field all you want, 100 times, 99 out of times, 100 times you'll get it right. But as I always say going into the game, the last thing I say to my team as we take the field, we practice our butt off here for 6 days a week. We practice. Now it's time to execute, and that's all up to you. And they did. They executed it. But, Bill, let's talk about the game that you actually watched. Let's get into this game here. Colorado State. I know you looked at, updates there. Bill, Colorado, are they serious, Bill?
Well, we're going to find out if they're serious this week.
Oh, yes. Yes, we will.
But with that said, I don't want to make any light of the fact that Colorado hasn't played anybody. Colorado won 1 game last year.
Exactly.
So all credit to them to be in the position they are. I mean, to think that they could be a 10-2 team is probably too optimistic. Coming from 1-11 or whatever they were.
I think we won 11-10.
But I'm not going to take anything away from them, and we'll see. Let's see if they can go out against the big boys on the road.
Yeah.
Oregon's a tough place to play, and that place will be packed, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think Oregon's going to win that game, but that's nothing to take away with what Colorado has done so far.
Yeah, I mean, watching the game, Bill, that was one of the games that I was really glued to the TV watching, of course, that night. I mean, Shador, 38 for 47, 348. You know, he hasn't had a bad game yet. He manages games. Of course, he had one pick, but 4 TDs. But the fourth quarter, I tell you, he put the team on his back, Bill, where he took a huge hit.
Mhm.
I thought he was laid out on where he hit his head on the helmet there, blood dripping from his lip. You know, Coach Prime came over, you know, of course, his son, a father-son moment there, walked over to him, gave him a little knee bump, you know, elbow bump to him, and said, his words were, "You good?" He's like, "I'm good." And he's like, went over to him and actually wiped his lip off the blood. Next play, Bill comes in and runs 25 yards.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
the kid shows that he's waiting for the spotlight. I see. You know, but the downfall is, Bill, they gave up 367 yards to the Colorado State quarterback on defense.
yeah,
They
yeah.
showed they're vulnerable.
And I think Colorado State played pretty well.
They did.
You know, they actually played better than I thought they would
Hmm.
in that game. They hung in there for quite a while. Kind of ran out of athletes at the end, but you know, I thought they played good.
I did too.
Credit to Colorado State too, because I just don't think they were near as athletic or near as good as Colorado, but they hung in there for a long time and punched them in the mouth.
I agree. I mean, I know we always talk about a moral victory for, you know, Colorado State here, but Bill, you know, walking out of the game, you know, I'm telling my kids like, hey, you just hung with one of the best teams out there, you know, the most hyped team out there. You guys did your job, of course. You know, hey, a moral victory is a moral victory, but I hang my head on those guys because they played a damn good game. Now, the worst thing came out of that, Bill. Travis Hunter is out with a lacerated lung, I believe.
Yeah.
Did you see that hit, Bill?
I did.
What do you think about it? A lot of people saying that's a targeting call where it was planned, but I don't see that. Do you?
No,
I don't either.
I don't see that. That's part of the game.
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, it's a bang bang play. It happened.
It happens.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
No, I don't think I don't buy the whole guys are out to hurt each other kind
exactly.
of thing.
I didn't. Everybody was, you know, I was looking at group chats and they're like, "Oh, this was a bogus call. They targeted him. They wanted him out of the game. You know, best corner in the game, one of the best, you know, 5-star athletes, wide receiver." I'm like, control it. I guess you're a Colorado fan. You're not a fan of the team. Number one, you know.
Yeah.
Eileen checking in. Hey, Eileen, how you doing? I appreciate you.
Hello, Eileen.
Bill, let's talk about. I mean, I wish we had Matt on this show right now because UCF, Bill, hung with Alabama.
Yeah.
Bill.
USF.
Yes.
Yeah, the Bulls. Yeah, they did, and good for USF.
Yes.
I'm not sure. So good for Alabama. Goes to show Alabama's got a lot to get done. But again, just like with Georgia, it's too early to count them out.
Sure.
They're only going to get better. Saban's going to get them better. But shout out to USF for hanging in there for quite a bit. And
yes. Mm-hmm.
Alabama coming down to USF, that was kind of cool too. I wish I would have been home for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching that. I wish we'd have had Matt on there because he would have been proud of his Bulls, of course, you know. But I was looking at it now. You know, I'm kind of glad about this because Tommy Rees, of course, from Notre Dame, goes down to Alabama. The grass is greener down there. Well, let's, you know, hold off on that for a second here because Tyler Buckner goes down to starting QB. Bill, 5 for 7 for 34 yards.
Yeah.
Then they bring in the freshman Ty Simpson, 5 for 9 for 73. After benching Milroe, you know, who played a great game, you know, just couldn't win the game against Texas. But what do you think down there, Bill? Because we had Zach on last week, huge Alabama fan, and he was saying, he's like, you know what? When was the last time we can say where we have a QB, not controversy, but a problem, Bill? A problem.
Yeah, and I didn't hear that because I didn't get a chance to listen to the show, but I was going to say the same thing. It's not a controversy. You got a whole handful of guys that don't want to win the job.
Sure.
At this point, and that is a bit of a problem. And you know, sooner or later, whether it's mid-season or what, Saban's going to pull a trigger, and he's going to name somebody to be the guy, and they're going to ride him out. You can't play with 2 and 3 quarterbacks every week and expect to be successful. Got to get some rhythm. Got to get something going.
I do think they go back to Milroe because I think he's your best chance. I mean, he's a more mobile quarterback with a stronger arm, which we talked about. You know, a lot of it, Bill, is you don't have the wide receivers that you used to. Also, you don't have the Waddle, the Smith. You know, you don't have those guys, of course. So I don't know. I mean, I feel that Alabama's, just like you said, still can win. You know, be in the championship series. I mean, if they went out, beat Georgia in the SEC championship, they have all rights to. You know, that one loss to Texas. Texas continued as a win, and they rank 1 to 4. That's a huge stepping stone for Alabama to say our one loss was to Texas early. You know, So they're
Well,
not out of it.
they've got a long climb.
Big time. Yep. Mm-hmm.
They have, if they don't get straightened out kind of soon, they've got some more L's on that.
Oh yes. Oh
Notches on that
yes.
L side.
Exactly. And they got a tough game this week too, which we'll get into. And not a big, rivalry game, but it is some, Ole Miss is they're not joking around either. And
Yep.
every time you play Alabama, there's a target on that team. So
Absolutely.
definitely. But Bill, the last game we'll talk about is, of course, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 41 over 17 over the Chippewas. I don't take much away from this, Bill. Even though it's early season, Notre Dame should have won this game easily. They did win the game, but Sam Hartman again, Bill, 16 for 26, 330, 4 TDs, and estimated the running back, 20 carries, 176. This guy takes me back to seeing Jerome Bettis run the ball, Bill, how big he is. 5'11", 230, speed, everything.
Yeah, I think, like you say, the level of competition is what we haven't seen for Notre Dame. Navy was no competition. This game was no competition. We're going to have some competition on Saturday.
Oh yes,
and we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But I think they've got talent. Notre Dame's got talent.
They do, and I mean, Bill, there's an identity. Used to be, with Tommy Reese, of course, and Drew Pine and Buckner being the quarterbacks. It was just run, run, run. Now it's balanced when you have a QB like Hartman out, prize possession of the transfer portal, throws the ball for 300, manages game, don't turn the ball over, number one, and then you have a solid, stable running backs that are giving you 250 yards, as well. Because Bill, this week total offense was 578, 330 through the air, and 248 on the ground. That is so balanced to me. That's what I love to see it. But Bill, we do have a big game this week coming up, and we'll find out more about Notre Dame this week, prime time, Bill.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to talk a little more about that when we get there, aren't we?
Yeah. But how about we go over some power rankings? We don't have to go over a team here. Bill, let's go 1 through 5 here. Is there any team that you think, of course, Georgia's number one, got to block them off the pedestal first, but is there any team in there that you think is a little bit overrated and maybe we could bump out of that top 5?
I'm going to take Florida State down a couple notches, I think. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite so sure about USC yet either. Mm-hmm. And Michigan hasn't played anybody. So it's just way too early. That Alabama win for Texas certainly puts them up there.
Sure.
Georgia, just because they're number one.
Right.
Nobody else really has played anybody until we start getting to this week. And this week, this is usually that week in October that you're waiting for. Well, here we're going to get it here in late September, a couple weeks early. So some things are going to sort themselves out.
A lot of people look at, I agree with you, Florida State maybe a little bit overrated. I think they should be in maybe the next tier from 6 to 10 is where I'll put them. But as you said, Bill, it's too early. The only thing, the great for the teams that are unranked or lower ranked, if you beat a team in this top tier right here, you're going to move up, just like the Texas did with Alabama. You're going to pop up fast. You lose, you could fall very fast, decline the other way in the wrong direction. But I agree with Florida State, Bill. Let's go to 6 to 10 here, which we got a huge matchup, of course. 6 and 9 play this week. So is there any team that you think doesn't belong in that category? I think they all belong here, Bill.
Yeah, I think they're probably all okay there.
Okay. All right, I agree. I mean, now let me ask you this real quick. If Notre Dame wins on Ohio State, it's a close game, Bill. Let's say something 21-20, Notre Dame squeaks it out. How far does Ohio State drop with that loss to Notre Dame, and how far does Notre Dame move up?
They won't drop them out of the top 10.
Agree.
Yeah, it's just kind of the way it works. They've got the brand. They want that brand to stay in the hunt.
They do.
For Notre Dame, depending on how that Florida State Clemson game works out, Notre Dame could sneak. Everybody slide up, Notre Dame slide into that 5 spot. If USC went to 4, and Notre Dame could leapfrog a couple teams with that, with a big win, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think they do want to keep USC up there because Notre Dame in 4 weeks, USC comes to them. So that's a big another game there as well. So I got 6 to 10 pretty much stacked right there.
Yeah, I think one thing about that Oregon game, it's a big game for Oregon. If they get beat by Colorado,
oh goodness,
then they're going to crash and Colorado's going to fly up.
Oh,
and
yes.
If they do win that game, then they probably won't move much. Well, you should have won that game.
Yeah, it's one of those situations, Bill, where you're predicted to win by 20. Of course, I think the line is like 13, Bill. As I looked last night, yes, of course, your game you're supposed to win. We're not going to move you up, but if you lose, oh my goodness, how did you lose to them? You're gone. You're gone. You're out of the top 15. You're probably 12 man, maybe 18, 19, right in that category there.
Yep.
But let's go 11 to 15, Bill. Utah, LSU, Alabama. After that bad game, they dropped 10 to 13. Playing UCF there. What do you think about this 11 to 15 here? Any overrated?
Well, it's so early in the season. They let these
True.
teams hang around, but LSU got spanked by
Yes.
Florida State.
Mhm.
Alabama got spanked by Texas. How do you stay 12 and 13 ahead of some of these undefeated teams when you got
Yeah.
whipped?
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. They want the SEC in there and they want these brand teams in there, but why do you penalize some of these other teams that are undefeated
True.
when you got whipped?
Very true. Very true. Sometimes this name recognition, Bill, I always keep the truth coming out of my mouth. Notre Dame, always hyped, name recognition team, no matter how you are. You can lose 3 games, you're still in the top 25 because it is Notre Dame.
Right.
It's something we always, even from, I'm a diehard fan and I see it every year, Bill. A lot of people say, how can you say that? Well, I'm speaking the truth. It's Notre Dame football. It's the hype, of course, But 16 to 20 here, Bill. Are you surprised Miami moved up fast after, their huge win?
Well, they beat Texas A&M at home, and that was a big game for them. They played a couple soft games. Otherwise, Miami always moves up early in the year because they always play a bunch of cupcakes.
Mm-hmm.
But Texas A&M wasn't supposed to be that, and they took care of business. So,
very true.
I guess they're okay. I maybe in the top 25, maybe 20 is too high, especially with some of those teams in that 21 through 25 group.
You think they're still giving away tickets, Bill?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. They're giving away tickets every game except the Florida State game.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, we talk about unsung teams. I mean, look at Duke this year. Nobody's surprised, thought Duke would be there 3-0. Of course, they're playing really good ball as well. Drake May from North Carolina, he's playing good. The only thing that I think deserves to be here, Bill, is Oklahoma, but I think Oklahoma gets beat twice this year. I think they lose to, of course, I'm gonna say Texas. I know Texas is going to beat them bad this year, of course, but I think they always disappoint me because they play no defense, Bill. And right now it's a cupcake schedule.
Yeah, well, they better learn to play defense because they're going into the SEC.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
Texas, they better change the whole mindset or it's going to get really ugly because you're not going to outscore them there. They're going to punch you in the nose in that SEC.
Oh, I agree. And I think the worst thing is they lost Vrabel. When he the coach did went to, I forgot what he went to, Bill. I'm drawing a blank here. But he left and goes to another college out there, and he's running the ship, of course. And losing, of course, Lincoln Riley with the offense, it's something different because you go in the SEC. Now you're playing a pro schedule with pro teams, every week, 11-week schedule where your first 3 weeks are cupcake games. Get it right, but at week 4 to 11, you better behave your head on the swivel because they're coming for you.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But let's go to 21-25 here, Bill. What do you think here? Washington State, UCLA, Tennessee, Iowa, and the Gators of Florida.
Well, Chip Kelly at that 22 spot goes to number 11 Utah this week.
Yes.
Kelly,
yes.
I despise Chip Kelly, the Eagles coach, but Chip Kelly's a good college coach.
Yes, he is.
This is a big week for him. He's built this program. They're pretty good, and going to Utah, if they can win that game, they're gonna jump up the board.
I agree. Going back, talk a little pro here. When he was at, Oregon coaching the Ducks, of course, with Mariota. Bill, he was really one of the ones. I mean, go back to like Steve Spurrier, the running gun, of course, in college, whenever it really started going to the pros. That doesn't pan out in the pros, but you're a college coach. You know how to coach college kids, NFL's divas, opposed to college players. It didn't work out well. And the thing is, like the first 3 years, he inherited that team. He just wasn't his drafts. He's rebuilt that team. He put DTR on the map, the quarterback there, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, in the pros now. I think he's on the right direction, and if he beats Oregon this week, I'm sorry, not Oregon, Utah. They can move up fast. I mean, Utah's ranked 11. I mean, 22 versus 11. If they can do this, I think they'll move to the next tier up. And this is a game, projected Utah. I think the line was 7.5 for their point. But if UCLA wins this game, I think it's a huge stepping stone for them in the right direction.
Absolutely. And what about that Florida-Tennessee game last week, huh?
Oh, my goodness. Bill, did you see that coming?
No,
Me either. Me
no.
either. No, me
But
either.
like I said, when we had Matt on, I think about Billy Napier. I like
Mhm.
Billy Napier, and he put it together, and nice win.
I tell you what, Bill. I mean, I looked at that. I go back to the years of Wisconsin when they had Graham Mertz. Mertz, the quarterback there. Bill, I tell you what, he looked totally different in this game here from opposing 2 weeks to this week here. He looked like a quarterback that went out there with poise, understood the game, and he helped. He made no mistakes. He managed the ball, put him in positions to win. So, hey, Florida, the chomp chomp is back. I guess we'll
We'll
see.
see.
We'll see,
We'll
Bill.
see.
We'll see.
It's funny when you look at these teams, and college football is better when Florida's good. They're better when Miami's good.
Yes.
When Oklahoma's good. You get those teams all up in the top 10 battling. That's good for college football.
It's good. I'm old school, Bill. I always used to remember the names. Your top 10 teams every year. They have to be there. If they're not there, something's wrong. It's rigged. Something's wrong here.
Hey.
But going back like TCU in there. How does TCU get in there? But it's good for college football both ways to see new teams, coming in. But that's like the story now is Colorado. Colorado can pull this off somehow to go undefeated. Like the talk is there. Transfer portal is the way to go. So we'll see. We'll see. It's still young, Bill. It's week 4 here, so we will see.
That's right. And hey, I want to give a shout out, and unless I missed it, they're still undefeated. The Fresno State Bulldogs.
Bulldogs, yes,
right.
They are.
One of my buddies. I coached with him, coached for him down here in Florida in high school. Is the new offensive line coach at Fresno State this year, and
okay.
Yeah, he was at Montana State.
Okay.
And he got a job at Fresno State. So I've been trying to keep an eye on him unless I missed something why I was gone. They opened the season going to Purdue and beating Purdue.
Yes, I see that. Beat the
over there,
yes.
and they've been winning. So keep an eye on Fresno State. Shout out to my man Brian Armstrong.
There you go, Brian. Continue sex out there. Hey, listen. Build that team up to where they are. Every week, just build momentum, get positive. You already beat Purdue. It's a building stone right there. So continue it. Continue.
That's right. Hey, I want to throw something else at you before we get into this week's games.
Sure thing.
Mel Tucker. Mel made a big mistake.
Elaborate.
Michigan State head coach.
Okay. I knew where you're going. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Mel Tucker had a $80, $90 million deal.
Yes.
Mel Tucker got fired.
Yes, he did.
For cause. He made a really, really bad mistake, bad decision. Sexual harassment of she was a counselor for sexual harassment.
I think she knows the books on that one, doesn't she, Bill? I mean, that's the wrong person to mess with.
She did. She does. She did. And I guess the sexual harassment was over the phone.
Oh, goodness.
And he was on the phone, on his side of the phone, doing something to himself while talking to her, and she turned it in and cost Mel Tucker $81 million.
Wow. Jeez, man. I
tell you. And probably never get another job.
Exactly. Yeah, that's something. There's no buyout on that. Nothing. It's just, close the doors. See you later. Leave your books, leave your playbook here, everything here. See you later. You're done. And you've been black marketed. You're not ever going to get a job anymore. You're done. Right. You're done. Definitely.
And the shame of that, here's a guy, a black guy, who had an opportunity to become a major college head coach as a Afro-American, and he killed himself. Just it's sad. It really is sad. But my goodness, you just what kind of decisions are you making? What are you thinking?
I'll tell you what, Bill. $81 million. I will be a saint for the rest of my life. Right? I'll tell you that right now.
Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's sad. It really is sad. And boy, what a bad decision for Tucker.
Agree. Oh man, jeez. I mean, there's stupid mistakes, Bill. We see them from athletes. Of course, making money, but $81 million, Bill. That's wow. Just I don't have words for that, Bill. I really don't.
No. And whatever happened. I mean, I think I know what happened from reading the different articles, but he didn't deny it. He said, "Yeah, that's
no fight at all." I mean, especially when you're going against sexual harassment. Authenticator. By the books. There's hey, you're in a no-win situation. You've done what you did. Now it's time to pay the price. And you paid a hefty price at $81 million for this
My goodness.
incident. But
Yes.
yeah, well, Bill, I mean, this is the week here. I mean, there's some good games here. Let me get that off there so we can look at them. But Bill, I mean, you talked about it. Opening game here. What do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's start right at the top. The noon game. Florida State goes to Clemson. I think what I think is that Clemson does not have the talent to play against Florida State, but it's at Clemson.
Yes, Death Valley.
It's going to be fired up. I think Florida State's got a couple bumps and bruises, and we'll have to see. I kind of like Clemson in this game.
I do too. This is the game. This is not a trap game. A lot of people saying trap game. This can't be a trap game. There's no way this could be a trap game.
This is the biggest game on the schedule.
Exactly. I mean, this is the really Super Bowl. This is the Super Bowl for the ACC if you think about it right here, because Notre Dame's not involved in that. Of course, you still have Duke, and North Carolina. But this game here, Clemson used to be the dynasty team of the ACC. Still, in many eyes, still are. Florida State, if you beat them, but let's go to Clemson. If Clemson beats this team, they are back, Bill. They're back. I don't think they have the horses, but I do think that home field advantage, Bill, this crowd will be rocking with the orange and white. Will Shipley, I think, is going to have a great game at running back. I think this is a close game, but I still have Florida State winning this game by a little bit because of the talent they have, Bill.
Well, we're going to see. Mm-hmm. We're going to see. But obviously, this is going to be a turnover game. If there's turnovers, you hurt yourself, don't protect the football, penalties. I think you're going to have to play sound football to win this game, whichever team.
I agree. And Johnny Wilson, you better catch the ball this game because this could be a close game. And, one drop ball off the hands there. The Clemson defense is, something serious as well. So I think Jeremiah Trotter has a good game this week, too. I think he gets the backfield a lot. I think he's a good player as well. So what do you think of score, Bill? I'm going to go Florida State here. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to go 27-23 Florida State.
I'll go 31-28 Clemson.
Ooh, the field goal. Okay, so we're pretty much in the close range here, 3 and 4 point games. Yep, so, okay. Yep. All right. That's a way to open a Saturday morning, Bill. As we talked earlier, I didn't even know the Utah game was on this week. And my thing to you was I got an LOL out of you. I said, you know what? I guess I'm not leaving my house this Saturday because from noon to midnight, I'll be writing for that TV downstairs.
That's right. That's right.
Well, speaking of that game, Bill, I know it's a late game, but let's talk about that UCLA-Utah game here. We talked about, Chip Kelly. Of course, he's an Eagles, coach before. You don't like that situation, but UCLA, Utah here, packed, whatever it's going to be in the future here. What do you see with this game, Bill?
I am going to go with UCLA on the road. Utah's good. I think Utah's good, but I think Chip's got it going on. I think he's got a chance to run deep into his schedule here with an undefeated season. I'm going to go UCLA.
Now the question is, Cam playing? I see he's playing, but he's like questionable, doubtful. We don't even know. Is this a cat and mouse game, Bill? Saying he's playing, he's not playing because Cam's a different quarterback from what you have on the bench.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think if he does play and he's 100%, then they certainly at home have a chance to win that game. But you just don't seem to know.
Okay, I'm actually on the same boat as you, Bill. I'm actually going to go UCLA here. I think losing Charbonnet last year with the Bruins, losing DTR, there's a lot to overcompensate. But Chip Kelly's a very smart offensive coach. He can find ways to win. I mean, we've seen plays from Bill, in the Wacky Pack. I call it the Wacky Pack 12, where you see this is they're going to do this, and it's just like a backside pass or whatever. He's going to pull something out. I'm going to go UCLA as well here. I think UCLA pulls this out.
There you go.
Yep. Now, you think it's going to close, Bill, or think it's going to be a blowout?
No, I think it's going to be close. It's going to be another close one. I don't know about the points. It might be 44-40, but
yeah, exactly.
It's going to be a close game.
That's something about the Pac-12, Bill. You think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Next thing you know, it's in the shootout.
60. There aren't many low-scoring games out there.
No, we used to say that about the Big 12, still that way, but the Pac-12 is the wacky for a reason, But let's get into this one, Bill. QB problem versus Ole Miss. Jackson Dart here with Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. What do you think?
I keep thinking that Alabama's going to get right.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe this is the time.
What better way against Lane Kiffin, right? I mean,
Sure.
the teacher versus the student here a little bit. What better way to get it right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Alabama at home, and I think they're going to take care of their business pretty good here. Maybe by 14 points, 17 points, somewhere like that.
I agree. I like Lane Kiffin as a coach, an OC especially. He's very innovative, of course, but I think this is where Alabama turns it right. They've already named Milroe the starter, so there's no BS going into the game. It's already Monday. He's already said who a quarterback's going to be. There's no controversy. And I'm pretty sure he's already talked to Tommy Rees like, you better get this right. You better get this right because this is Alabama. This ain't, Notre Dame where, we don't care about what we do. Here's national championship or bust. So I think this is exact words, Bill, as you said. I think it is a get it right game. I really think it is.
Yeah,
Really do.
And I like Lane Kiffin too. I think he does a pretty
Mhm.
nice job, and he'll give Saban a battle. But I just like you said, I just think
I agree.
it's time for Alabama to come home.
I agree. Sean, what's going on? You can check Sean out every Saturday night with the Sully
Hey,
Squad with Joe Sullivan, Fuji, and Diego. Thanks for checking in, Sean. Appreciate it. Now, Bill, here's the game. A lot of people already circled this game as the game of the weekend in many eyes. Colorado, Coach Prime, 3-0 versus the Oregon Ducks in Eugene, Oregon. Bill, what do you see, Bill?
I'm going to go in Eugene, Oregon. I'm going to go with Oregon to win this game. I think Colorado will put on a good show.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll play well. I'm just not sure defensively they can stand up with Oregon. So I'll go maybe somewhere in the even like 45-38 type of game, somewhere like that. I think Colorado's going to put points up if they're healthy enough. Mm-hmm. Did something come up with Sanders possibly getting a suspension for some taunting or something? Did anything more come of that?
I didn't see anything like that. I was reading a little bit about it. The only thing that really popped up with Colorado being Travis Hunter being out, I didn't see anything regarding like a suspension at all.
Okay, maybe nothing more came of it.
Mm-hmm. Was that
right after the game?
Okay, was that the one where he actually stepped over the player and looked down, Bill?
Yeah, and he was
the pointing. Okay,
pointing and touching the player and whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see anything about it, but I agree with you. I think Oregon has too many horses here, and I think they're just going to run them out because Colorado did give up almost 380 yards to a non BCS quarterback. Let's put it that way in Colorado State. So we know they can give up points, and losing Travis Hunter, your best corner as well, that's going to be something. And Bo Nix is he's been around. He is the Sean Clifford of the college football ranks too. So I think he's seen it all, and I think they put him in a position where they're going to spread this field, Bill, and watch that tape last week. And it's going to be a hybrid game. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think both teams are definitely going to be in the 40s this week. But I have Oregon pulling this out.
I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. Sean says, let's see here. Sean says, former defensive end Warren Sapp revealed Tuesday on the Rich Eisen show that he is working on getting a college degree in hopes of joining Sanders' staff. Wow. In 2024. What do you think about that?
I think Warren Sapp's a dope.
I think he is too.
I've actually met him and been around him, and
really,
yeah, he's just
wow. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, it's your time has passed. Don't go and get a college degree just in hope of joining a staff here. Come on, I don't know. I'm done.
Yeah, he is about 1/2 of a second from going off the edge at all times.
That's what I've heard.
He's got a temper that goes about that far, and he just he's got a whole bunch of baggage too.
Some say one sandwich short of a picnic, huh? A little like Fuse there, huh?
Yeah, any one of those. Any one of those. I've seen him a lot, and he's sometimes he's a really good guy, and sometimes he's about half crazy. And it's just not a fit to be a college football coach in my mind.
Yeah, I mean there might be some penalties, off the ball penalties from a coaching staff there. If he doesn't get his right way, pretty much, I guess, right?
Right, absolutely.
Let's get into this game here, Bill. I know you're excited for this game. It is whiteout time in Beaver Stadium here. The Hawkeyes, visit Penn State here. What do you got with this game? I'm just, in a way, I'm glad. I wish Penn State was visiting Iowa because Iowa's a different team at home, Bill.
Yeah, they are.
This is a different game here.
They're without three offensive players, three offensive starters. It just came out. So that's not going to help them. Plus, I just think Penn State is just better this year, at
Yes.
least at this point. I think and then coming and being part of this environment, there's a little history too in the whole Penn State thing. Iowa fans making fun of Penn State players being hurt or faking being hurt, and all this other stuff. So, no, I like Penn State. I think they're going to be big.
I agree. I mean, this is to me going to be one of the games where the Big Ten shows smash mouth football. All eyes are on this game here at Whiteout, but I think Penn State's offensive line carries this team. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring, Bill. I think it's going to be not a close game, maybe a 10-point swing here. But I think Penn State pulls out the muscle here and shows the line of scrimmage at the trenches. I think it's going to be a running game. I don't think Aller's going to have a big passing game, but I think Penn State all the way. I think it's maybe like a 24-13 game, Penn State. I don't think it's going to be high scoring, though.
Yeah, I was going to go 31-10.
31-10. Okay, so you got a 21-point game there. Okay, all right. Yeah. Now, with Penn State, is there any chance that Penn State loses this game? What are you scared about with this game, Bill? Is there anything that scares you with this game?
No.
Me either.
No. Turnovers or something.
Turnovers, yeah.
Something, that you can't expect. But as far as lining up toe-to-toe,
sure.
I'm not too afraid.
Yeah, I was telling my buddy today, he's an Iowa fan. I was like, the worst thing is you're going to Penn State this year, in a whiteout game. And do you understand what just seeing it on TV? I was like, my host, Bill, he's been to these games. He's seen this. And I tell you what, it is like going to, West Virginia Tech Stadium, Enter Sandman. That's what the presence feels like, that, that environment. But, yeah, I think Penn State rolls here, too. I think they definitely get the win to move to 4-0. Bill, this is the game of the week in my eyes, of course. Notre Dame, Ohio State. This is the tell me all game about Notre Dame this season, Bill, so far. What do you think? I'll let you start.
I am going to go and tell you that, first of all, this might surprise you.
Oh, yeah, please surprise me, Bill. I'm waiting for this. I think I know where you're going, Bill, but please enlighten my day, Bill.
Notre Dame is going to win this game, and they're going to do it on defense.
Wow.
They're going to play solid defense against the young Ohio State quarterback situation. It's still not that great of a situation as it is.
True.
And Notre Dame is better at the quarterback position this year than Ohio State is. Notre Dame will score points, and Notre Dame is going to play solid defense against Ohio State and win this game.
So you're telling me that they're going to shut down Marvin Harrison Jr. and Ibuka too, one of the preseason All-American wide receivers here? I
think they're going to get after the quarterback.
You heard it here first. I'm going to timestamp this because I didn't think this was coming. Kyle McCord, I've seen you play in high school many times, and I tell you what, as Bill Furman said, they're coming for you. This defense is something special, and the quarterback play definitely goes to Hartman as well, 6-year senior as well. So they got to play fundamental football, Bill, because they've been, even with Navy, 5 passes against Navy, 2 were drop balls, 2 could have been touchdowns. NC State put points on them, and the Chippewas put 10 points on them last week. There's given touchdowns. So this is the game you got to be solid. But this game scares me a little bit because I think they take away Estimate, and I think Hartman has a great game on offense, throwing the ball, spraying the ball, because that's something he does. Just like I said with Aller, he climbs the pocket. Hartman climbs the pocket. And he doesn't look to run, Bill. It's just an eye movement where the running backs are go here, go there. He finds them. But this defense, Bill, I think the defense, as you said, I think the defense wins this game this week. I think they shut them down. And you got to pin your head back.
I think by, we're talking about defense, it's not like the old days where, you have to play defense and only give up 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
You can play good defense and still maybe give up 21 points.
Sure.
The game is different today than it used to be. But I think it's how many 3-and-outs do you get? How many turnovers do you get? How disciplined are you? They go for it on 4th down, you get stops. Those are the kind of things I think are key defensive things these days compared to, only giving up a field goal or only giving up 7 points. That just doesn't happen much anymore.
I agree. As Sean said, absolutely right. I think they're going to be aggressive in getting at the QB. I mean, that is the key to the game, to get after the QB. Make Kyle McCord make mistakes. Because I see actually Dave bringing in both quarterbacks here, Bill. I mean, we know, Devin Brown. Bill, real quick, have you seen Ohio State play this year with Devin Brown at QB?
Yeah.
Bill, does it surprise you he's number 33? I didn't know who this was, Bill. I was like, I seen the name Brown. I'm like, who the hell is this other kid Brown, number 33, playing QB with lightning fast legs? I'm like,
Yeah,
who is
well,
this Devin
it's
Brown?
all different now because they can all do whatever they want. They can wear
Sure,
whatever
sure.
numbers they want, and it's not like the old days where
Yes.
the '80s had to be wide receivers and all that. It doesn't matter
Right,
now.
right. Your
They're
quarterbacks were 1 through 19 or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I seen that. I was just like, wait a minute, who is this kid? Because I was watching it last week. I mean, they blew out 66-17 who they were playing. But, I'm watching. I'm like, wow, it's a different ball game with Devin Brown, the speedster, playing QB. And then you got McCord, who can get out of the pocket, but he looks, the thing that I like, Bill, as you said, they got to get after the QB. McCord likes to stay in that pocket just a little bit too long. And if you're
Mhm.
aggressive, you're going to make him, feel the pressure. And he doesn't climb the pocket as well. He likes to get outside. So I think Notre Dame wins this game. I hope they do, Bill. I think it's going to be, man. I think it's going to be a 3-point game. Who has the ball last, and what defense can hold? The
I,
force.
I,
A field
I agree
possession.
with you. I agree with you. I think it's going to be tight. And I think the other thing is, for the flip side of the coin, Ohio State's going to come out, in my mind, and they're going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to smash Notre Dame in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And if Notre Dame lets that happen, then all bets are off because now all of a
Yes,
sudden the quarterback becomes more manageable, doesn't have to throw for 250, 300 yards if they can run the ball.
and I agree. I
So,
agree. Mm-hmm.
I think that's where Notre Dame's going to have to be stout up front.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether they're rushing 7 or however they're going to do it in the pass situation, because, the more they blitz, the more it's going to be man coverage. Them guys are going to have to single up on Harrison and them.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good chess match right here. I like it.
Yeah, I agree. I think if the front seven, because Notre Dame's front seven is really good. The linebacker play, Kaiser, JT Baran, could be all Americans, of course. 2 seniors in the back end. If they can get the pressure to keep McCord, looking in a little bit with deer in headlights here, I think that's the key. But I think they are going to come out with Trayvon Henderson running the ball. If they can do that, they're going to carry the momentum, saying we're running right through this front seven. But if they do blitz, Bill, this isn't Kyle Hamilton in the back end. This isn't Julian Love in the back end anymore. These are 3 freshmen starting this year and
Yeah.
1 senior. So that back end is a little bit scary when you got all Americans like Marvin Harrison Jr., Abuka as well. And I mean, this is wide receiver U for a reason. If you can, I think it's going to be definitely the word we want to say is chess match here. Who is the better play caller, a better management game, and I think it all comes down to field possession in this game, Bill. If you can get a good stop, force field position, I think you got a good key to the game.
Yeah, and I think also from the Notre Dame perspective, this is their season.
True.
If Ohio State loses this game, they still win the
Yes.
Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Still can win the Big Ten. This is it for Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins this, they're on a roll, to a real fine season. They lose,
Yeah.
they got, you can look at those rankings again. They're going down.
Oh yeah, and I was talking to
So,
my friend today. We're both Notre Dame fans as well. And he was like, even if they lose this game, I was like, but yeah, you know what? You lose this game, you want Texas to win out, of course, to hold the rankings because to their schedule they play up similar teams. But then you got USC, then you got North Carolina. You still have Duke. You lose one of those games in a top 25 team, you're going to be bounced out. This isn't the SEC. You're independent, and your name isn't going to go that far where there's not 10 teams in the BCS this year. You're going to be bounced out fast. So all eyes on this game, but.
Signature game for Notre Dame as well. To win
exactly.
this is huge for them.
Big time, yeah. And
I think they're going to play aggressive because of it.
Yeah, I'm just glad it's in South Bend this year. I mean, the way I look at it positively, Bill, and I'm glad you said that because you made me feel a little bit better saying Notre Dame will win, this weekend. But looking at last year, we ran out of energy. The horses came out in the fourth quarter, and the 5-star athletes showed up in the fourth quarter, ran them out of the building. But you stand toe to toe, for 45 minutes here. But I think you're okay this year. I think we're a better team, better defense, better offensively sound. In Freeman's second year with Golden, I think they put this defense in a position to win this game, Bill.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting for me to see if at Notre Dame, if the Notre Dame fans, a little different type of fans than the nuts at Penn State, if they can create an environment that makes it very difficult for Ohio State to play, advantage Notre Dame if they could do that.
Bill, the funny thing is, I know you guys have the whiteout. That is, I've watched a couple of videos as we talked about, like crowd, venues and stuff like that. And I watched a couple of videos, and just like your background, Bill, I don't like that is so crazy for me to see all white. I put on Twitter, Bill, I was like, hey, Notre Dame, this would be the perfect opportunity for a gold out.
Yeah.
The gold. I mean, that's something I would really love to see all teams do it. Of course, Penn State started that basically with the whiteout here, but I'd like to see Notre Dame do something like that because Notre Dame has some crazy fans, Bill. But this isn't the shoe where it's insane at the Horseshoe.
Right. Absolutely. And, and having a big game like this in September, you can do this kind of stuff. It's harder to do in November when everybody's got their winter coats on and you've got a green one, he's got a blue one, he's got a red one. You're just trying to stay warm.
Now, Bill, you went to the Notre Dame last year game, correct? Against, I think it was BC. Now, I know Joe Sullivan, a couple guys went out there, and Joe actually left in the third quarter. He was like, he's so damn cold. It's bad.
Yep.
Like I remember he took a picture of before the game versus after the game, and it was a snow, like a blizzard came through, Bill.
At halftime.
Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah. Because I know on a Saturday, Bill, I do a podcast, Notre Dame show, and this is my overlay coming up this week, Bill. The Golden Dome Pie, bring on the Buckeyes. Let's go. Let's beat that Buckeye ass. I hope it happens, Bill. So it made me feel a little bit better, Bill, because you said Notre Dame will win, and that's coming from a fan that sees the game, Bill. So you built my spirits up, Bill.
Well, I didn't do it on purpose. I'm just calling it the way I think I see it.
Hey, I hope it happens, Bill. So, Bill, now I know I was watching Philly Press Box next week. Now, you do have a guest on Philly Press Box next week, correct?
Yeah, our man Steve, your man Steve, going to do the Does Your Commander show each week, is going to join us. And I got to confirm that with Steve tonight to be sure we're good. But, yeah, Steve's going to join us. Eagles play the Redskins, or my bad, Commanders. Oops.
We're old school, Bill. We're old school.
Right. Next week. So Steve's going to join us. We're going to talk about the matchup. So we're looking forward to having him with us. It'll be his first time on Philly Press Box Radio.
Yeah, we talked about it. He's a great guy. He does the podcast. I met him through you, actually, Bill. We talked about it. I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, I want to do a show. And I'm like, okay. And, man, his first couple of weeks, he was kind of like really shy. Now he's opened up, and he was talking to me about it last night because I did produce a show last night. And he was like, I was like, just be yourself, man. Bill, have fun with it. Your game. Just remember, don't back down. And just if you feel I almost said it, Bill. If you feel the Commanders going to win, go ahead and say it. Be proud.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. We. That's why we have people on. We don't want to hear what we want to hear. We want to hear what other people have to say. So
very true, very true. Well, Bill, before we get out, you want anything you need to say out there to the fans out there? I'm so glad you made it back. I'm so jealous of that trip, Bill. I really am.
Well, I guess one final comment about if you ever get a chance to go to Italy. We started out in Rome. The first day we went to the Colosseum. The second day we went to the Vatican, the Sistine Chapel, and St. Peter's Basilica. And my takeaway. There was 100 other things we saw, but when you look at the Colosseum on day one and you say this unbelievable building that was built thousands of years ago by real people, by real people who didn't go down to the brickyard and get bricks. They made the bricks. They made the cement. They had no cranes. They did use pulleys, that they created. And you look at that and it's still standing there and you just shake your head and say, man, what a crazy place this is.
Yeah, I was listening to Philly Press Box. Guys, if you ever get a chance, check out Philly Press Box every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Bill and Chet do an awesome show. I've been listening to it for a long time. Great. I call you guys legends of the game. You guys are really one of the reasons that I want to do this, to follow in your steps. I was listening to it now. What was that about the marble, Bill, that you were talking about, the marbles out there? Because one of my rooms have marble, like a bathroom in there. And I was like, wait a minute, what?
Well, forever, Carrara Italian marble is a very famous marble.
Yes.
It's the marble you have to have. Well, we drove to the town of Carrara by accident. We were going through a couple other towns, but there's big mountain range there. And there's this white mountain. We thought it was snow.
Right.
Well, it turns out it's a marble mountain. And they mine that mountain in the town of Carrara. And I didn't know it until afterwards when we were talking to some people about it, that you can actually get a tour that takes you up in the mountain into the mining area. I didn't know that. But we got as close up as we could and into the town. And it is a town that's... man, I don't even know how to explain it. Old town and looks beat up and decrepit and all that. But they're miners. And I said to somebody about it, I said, is it really a poor town or whatever? He said, oh, no, no, no. They got money. They just don't want to pay taxes on it.
Smart.
Yeah. But
Wow.
yeah, it was a beautiful sight. This all this white and gray in the mountain range and all that. It's marble. Who knew?
Wow. I mean, I've heard of like a
I
slate
didn't know.
mountain, but I've never heard of a marble mountain.
Marble
Oh
mountain.
man, that's insane.
Yep.
Well, Bill, I am glad you're back. I can't wait till next week. I mean, we got to recap some big games here this
Oh
week.
yeah.
So, coming up, I'm looking forward to it again. So, Bill, you ready to get out of here?
Let's do it.
All right. My name is Paul Spencer. That is Bill Furman, the legend. We'll be back next Wednesday at 8 to 5. Until then, we'll see you next week.